He has spoken on the topics faith, family, and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK, and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer, and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television, as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
The duplicitous multiplicity of words may not necessarily mean that I have any idea what I'm talking about, but it might be an intransigent desire to lead that drives me to use such superfluous verbiage. Yeah, if you were actually to slow that down, back it up, rewind it, and replay, you would realize I said a whole lot of nothing with really big pedantic words that mean absolutely nothing. And that, my friends, is not leadership communication, but that's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. I hope you'll join me. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I can tell you there are a whole lot of people who are really good at stringing together a whole lot of words. Recently, the best phrase I've heard is word salad. And in a word salad, generally you have a whole lot of words that have no meaning at all. Or they have a meaning, but they're words that are strung together to sound important, to sound intellectual, to sound like you've done your homework, but the truth is you haven't really done your homework. In fact, if you did your homework, you'd realize the word you just used didn't make any sense. I recently heard someone say, women have lost the electrical power, their power to vote. The electrical power doesn't have anything to do with the voting, but it is funny that that word that's stuck in the mind of the person presenting when at this particular event, the buzzword was electric. It was said by everybody from a different context. It's like electrical energy here. It's like electricity here. The energy is so electric. It was said 1,000 times. Nobody really knows exactly what it means. It didn't really transfer because there were a lot of people who didn't look, seem, or feel electric, but they said electric. They said the right word. I had someone in studio just this last week, and one of the questions I asked them, because they kept saying a very similar thing. They kept saying the energy was high at XYZ event. The energy was really high. People were really moving in the same direction. People were really on board. And I said, that's great. As a leader, how do you translate energy to action? How do you translate energy to commitment? And I never really got a solid answer, to be honest with you. But I haven't stopped thinking at it. Because there are a lot of people who talk about how they have so much energy, whether it's in a campaign or it's a new marketing slogan or it's a new brand design or they've come up with a new program. And this new program, it's got so much energy behind it. We focus grouped it and we tested it in the market. We did an A/B test on it. Oh man, it's just off the charts. Everybody loves it. I talked to someone just yesterday who said, yeah, when I first got my back office system all set up, they told me, well, you need to have a lead gen. And so we created one and we put it out there and we've had tremendous response to that lead gen, hundreds of people downloading it. I said, that's awesome. How many of those are converting to sales? No answer. And when the answer finally did come, it was, it's actually pretty abysmal. Really. So, yay, energy. We got people to look at the words. And finally, This person said, well, I have to confess, everybody who's going to get this free download, it seems like their driving desire is to have a tool. They don't really want instruction. They don't really want to learn the process. They want to have a tool. They want to have a reference point. That I have something to go to. And that something that they go to is, it really just, it stays on the shelf. It's not a regular thing. They just want to be able to say, I have this. It's like having a certification or something. It's just a tool to use in the event that everything else they're trying doesn't work. Interesting. I have a tool like that. Let me give you an example. I literally just came in here thinking about all the useless words that we use, and I thought, what would be a great source of words that all strung together, they don't make a whole lot of sense, but there are a whole lot of intelligent words. I mean, we know they're intelligent words. We know they're important words because of where we found them. And as I opened this resource, this tool, this collection of words, I stumbled on this word, intransigent. 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 If I use that word in a sentence, would you know what it meant? Let's see. Here's the sentence. The intransigent strikers refused to negotiate. Do you know what it means now? I mean, that's a statement. Could be a statement of fact. Could be an absolutely true statement. Could be something you would expect to see on the nightly news or the headline of a newspaper. The intransigent strikers refused to negotiate. What does it mean? Is that describing a certain group of people? They're trans, they're intrans, they're indigent, they're intransigent. If you mispronounce that word, how many other meanings could you possibly accidentally come up with? But what does it really mean to be intransigent? If you ripped that right from the headlines and tried to re-explain that story to somebody based on the headline, what do you think you would be talking about? See, this is the challenge with a lot of leadership, is that you can stumble across a word, you can hear somebody use it and repeat it and quote it. You might even say it exactly right with the right intonation and the right inflection and the right pauses and the right syllabic pronunciation, accents. But you might not have a clue what it means. So let me go a little further. Intransigent, uncompromising, stubborn, intractable, obdurate, iron-willed, steadfast, die-hard, unyielding, unmovable, unbudgeable, inflexible. Interesting. So really, intransigent means hard-headed. Oh, let's go back and try that sentence again. The hard-headed strikers refused to negotiate. The uncompromising, the stubborn strikers refused to negotiate. Well, see, now all of a sudden it makes sense, right? I love the way John Maxwell, by the way, it comes from right here, the Random House Thesaurus, and because I can find a whole lot of words in here that are very intelligent, very true, very accurate, very powerful words, but stringing them together in a sentence, using them out of the context of the meaning or the purpose of the communication, just because they're big, powerful words, just because they're very true and accurate words, just because they make sense, because they come from a great source, that doesn't mean that I've communicated clearly. And that really is the heart of the issue, especially when it comes to leadership. See, the communication that a leader should be capable of, should be competent at, should be diligently striving to perfect, is that communication which clearly articulates the plan, the purpose, the worthwhile cause. What is the strategy? How do we get from here to there? What are we going to do next? Who has to be on board? What tasks do we need to perform to execute this grand plan? See, it's not an abundance of words, and it's not an abundance of big words, and it's not an abundance of big words scrambled together to look like a chef's salad. That is not what makes good communication. Sometimes the most powerful communication is, well, it's very short. I tell my clients on a regular basis, like my dog who has that long fluffy hair because she's an Irish doodle, when she runs through the wild grasses of our backyard, and she comes in with those little burrs stuck in her face. They get all up in her whiskers. And the only way to get them out, you can't brush them out. You can't just pet them out. You can't even comb them out. You have to individually pull the little hairs apart in order to get the hair apart until the burr exposes itself. Then you can snatch the burr out of there. Well, that burr, that stupid thing was made that way on purpose. God designed that burr to stick in the hair like that for a reason. And while we may feel like the purpose of that burr is to drive pet owners crazy, it's really not. The purpose of that burr is to get stuck in the hair so that that seed which is inside the burr travels someplace else to be planted. Oh, so there's a meaning behind it. It's not just a complicated thing. It has a meaning. It's a vehicle. It's a way to get from point A to point B. That's what good communication is, a way to get from point A to point B. And sometimes that burr, it's a very small illustration. Sometimes that burr, it's a metaphor. Sometimes that burr it's a story of a life experience that you've had that other people could learn from and say, oh, well, I'm glad you went through that, so I don't have to. I think they call that wisdom. To be smart is to learn from your own mistakes. Don't repeat them. To be wise is to learn from the mistakes of others and don't go down that same path, because obviously it didn't work for them. Why would you try it for you? But see, a lot of communicators, a lot of leaders, they feel like the art form they've seen in public communication, in public discourse, is to fill the void of time with a whole lot of words about the meaning of the passage of time. And so we just go back and forth with words that don't have any meaning. Right now, I think the buzzword is electric or return on investment. At last count, that word was used in a very specific, off-scripted context 4 times in 48 seconds. Return on investment. In none of those applications, if you were to take the statement and lay it out in front of someone who is responsible for investments or for cash flow or for budgeting, maybe one of the 4, as I heard it, maybe one of the 4 you might say, okay, well, that's worthy of digging into the contrast of the investment versus the return. It actually does speak to a return on investment. But using the word return on investment 4 times in 48 seconds, does that not make you intelligent? It doesn't make it leadership communication. It doesn't change the context of the argument. It doesn't give any clear marching orders. It doesn't define what the goal is. It doesn't set us on a task to get things done. No, it does none of those things. It's barely rhetoric. It's simply, well, it's not even communication. It's just talking. It's just word salad. If you're a leader, though, what you're responsible for is helping people to understand, what is your strategy? What is your plan? What's their role in it? Where do they fit? Clearly defined goals, well-articulated purpose, worthwhile cause. If those are the things that you talk about, then you can drive someone in a new direction. You can change their life. I think again of the guy with the fence post planter. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. It looks like a pipe with a handle on each side. And when I was a kid, we would actually put the fence post in the ground and we would slide this pipe over the top and drop it. And it was designed to be really, really heavy. So if you lift it and drop it and lift it and drop it and lift it and drop it, it would actually drive the fence post in the ground for you. Not a whole lot of work if you use the tool properly. We did find, though, that in some places you could slam it down and put your body weight behind it and drive the fence post down in 5 or 6 pounds instead of doing it in 45 minutes. But recently I saw a young man using that post planter, turning it sideways and slamming the side of the pipe, not vertically sliding over the top of the pipe, but using the side of the pipe onto the fence post. And sometimes he would miss, and sometimes he just wouldn't get good traction, and he beat the living daylights out of that planter, but he didn't ever really drive the post in the ground any. Is that the fault of the tool? Nope. Is that the fault of the fence post? Nope. Is it the fault of the genius using the tool? Nope. It's the fault of the leader. Because it would have only taken about 5 seconds, and maybe even not even chastisement, not even correction, not even, you're an idiot, what are you doing? You don't even have to call them names. You don't even have to make sure that they know they're stupid. You don't have to do any of that. You could simply walk up and go, well, back in my day, we would take this tool and use it like this. And suddenly there's an aha moment that will be a life lesson forever learned. Now you could spend 25 minutes saying, if you just use all your tools the right way, it makes your life a whole lot easier. That's what tools are for. You could lecture them, you could humiliate them, you could demean them, you could make them feel foolish for not knowing how to properly use that tool. You could do all of those things. They are the equivalent of the word salad. Or in about 15 seconds, you could demonstrate the proper way to use the tool and invite this person to a new level of awareness so that they will apply the same skill set that you have mastered. It's not a skill set like rocket science or electronics engineering. It's a very simple skill set, but it is one that must be mastered if you're going to use that tool to your greatest advantage. See, leaders who feel like, in order for me to be the leader, in order for me to be in charge, in order for me to remain in charge, I have to demonstrate to you how complicated my role is. The depth of my knowledge and understanding is so expansive. There's no way you could keep up. You can't do what I do. And because that's true, I'm going to give you just enough information for you to almost do what I expect you to do. And then I'm going to berate you when you don't actually accomplish what I wanted you to accomplish, because my expectations versus the training that I give you, they're not quite the same. I demand more of you than I'm going to equip you to do, so that I can continue to demean you and keep you in your place. Yeah, that's kind of a narcissistic leadership approach. And I find that the word salad has a direct relationship to that psychology. See, the word salad is intended to make you feel like, well, I heard everything. I heard every word you said. There were a lot of them. I just don't know what to do with them. They don't make any sense to me. So obviously, if you're the leader and you've got all these words, then must be something wrong with me. I'm the slow one. I'm the uninformed, uneducated one. I grovel at the feet of the master who has so many words and I don't even know what they mean. That is a tool of narcissistic control. My fear is that so many people have fallen victim to this. Well, if you don't get what I'm saying, there's something wrong with you. If you're not falling in line with what I want you to do, then there's something wrong with you. If you're not on board with this new strategy, this new electric vibe, if you're not following that, I question your loyalty, I question your capability, I question your competence, maybe even your sanity. Maybe there's something really wrong with you. Maybe you need to get help. Because I've said a lot of words. You should agree with all my words. All my words are powerful because they're words. I've used words, big words and small words and repeated words, and therefore I am your leader and I have communicated and do that. It's not possible to follow the instructions that were given when the instructions that were given made no sense. It's not on the people who can't follow those instructions. It's on the leader who can't clearly articulate them. It's a different problem. And if the leader who cannot clearly articulate, can't communicate from a genuine place with true heart and clear directions, if they're the ones creating the problem, how are they going to solve it? I know. More words. Yeah. They'll solve it with more words. Meanwhile, just pay attention to the words, not what we're actually doing. Listen to what we say. Do what we say. Just don't expect us to have the integrity to do what we told you to do. What's right for you and what's right for us, those are different things. I can prove it because I have long words. Yep. I have long words and I have lots of them. And I promise you, when I'm done talking about all of my long words that are in abundance, you will have no idea what I just said. And that will be because, well, you just can't keep up. You're not like me. You don't have as many words as me. You don't have as many words that can be repeated, like words of words that mean more wordy words than words do. And my words mean more than your words do because they're my words. Take my word for it. Are you feeling the preposterous nature of this word salad game, this over communication that really means nothing, that really its purpose is to demean you? And I don't care what environment you've encountered that kind of leadership in. No, it happens in all environments. It happens in churches, it happens in homes, it happens in dating relationships, it happens in politics, it happens in universities. Probably as much as anywhere else, it happens in universities. I love listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson. One of the challenges I have with Dr. Jordan Peterson is he has no short answers. And there are occasions where I have to pause the video watching Dr. Peterson and go look up the word. And I pull out my trusty thesaurus and I pull out my trusty dictionary and I look up the word just to make sure that he actually said what I think he said. And most of the time I'm pretty accurate. I'd say probably 80% of the time I understand what he's saying. 20% of the time I have no idea what that string of words meant. And I've noticed over the time that I've been watching Dr. Peterson that he changes his mind. Yep. He changes his opinion on ideas that he once expressed very vocally, very clearly, very adamantly. And now he has a different opinion. Generally speaking, he's pretty good about being clear on why he changed his opinion. There are some places, though, that his opinion is just straight up intransigent. He's hard-headed, he's iron-willed, he's not changing his mind, he's not changing his opinion. There are things in life, when it comes to leadership, where you've got to be intransigent. You've got to stand your ground, draw the line, know what your space is, and refuse to budge. Unbudgeable. Not my word, that's the thesaurus's word. I don't think I would ever use the word unbudgeable. Just doesn't seem like a real word to me, but intransigent, stubborn, hard-headed, strong-willed, yeah, I could use those. Those all fit. But the power of leadership communications to know, one, where are the ideas upon which you will stand your ground and be intransigent? What is it that you will not budge on? What are those core values, those principles that no matter what happens, I'm not moving from this? There's nothing significant enough in this world for me to give up this idea or this ideology. Define those things for yourself and then hold on to them until better information comes along, until a better idea comes along, until you realize I was wrong. And then be mature enough to say, I was wrong. That's the first part of good communication. The second is to realize that if I'm using a word like intransigent when speaking to college professors or other professional communicators or highly educated leaders, that's perfectly fine. I would not use the word intransigent speaking to the average high school graduate, especially today. Or certainly not to middle school or elementary age kids, because most of them have no idea what the word intransigent means. But here's the sad irony. They've been beaten and bludgeoned by the verbosity of word salads from elite level leaders who insist that because I've used a lot of big words, you should get it. Then shame on you if you don't understand what I'm saying. And that abuse has caused most people to say, I'll pretend that I know what the word means. I'll apply my own meaning to it. I'll assume that I can fit that into a sentence. But if you don't know what the word intransigent means and you read a headline, the intransigent strikers refuse to budge, you still don't know what the word means. And it doesn't matter how loud or how many times I say it, it still has no meaning. If I were communicating with someone who doesn't know what that word means, I might easily say stubborn or hard-headed. I might even use a string of those words. They were kind of intransigent, stubborn, hard-headed, iron-willed. Some people are like that. They stand their ground. It's not a bad thing. In our organization, we're going to stand our ground on this. We're going to be intransigent about this. We're going to be stubborn about this. We're stubborn about the fact that customer service is our #1 priority, because if we don't take care of the customers, the stakeholders have nothing. That's a pretty good attitude to have. It's also clear leadership communication, verbosity, the volume of words, the volume of big words, the volume of big, giant, superfluous, pedantic words. No, that's not leadership communication. I'm not saying it's not communication. I'm just saying it's not good leadership. I love the way John Maxwell says it. The average teacher is someone who takes something fairly simple and makes it sound extremely complex. Makes them seem smart. But a great communicator takes something very complex and makes it very simple to understand. Be like that. Be bright. Be brief. Be gone. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.
Thank you.